Welcome back to the second segment of the November 17th Trips and Traps. Andy Serling and Eric Donovan.
Two more races to bring you, both from the grass, and in this case we're kind of hoping that maybe we get to see one of these horses run back, but if not, they're good horses to store away for maybe down in the winter or next spring.
Yeah, there's nothing that amazing that happens in these races, and we're going to focus on actually the first two finishers in this race. Two horses that are going to break right next to each other. One of them is the 6 Sky Blue Pink, and right outside of him in the black silks is the 7 Adam Rides Again. Sky Blue Pink was a horse that we had shown in his previous start, and we're not bringing him up again to say, look, we were so smart, we picked the 670 winner of the trip. What we're really showing is the contrast in trips here. Both of these horses, and there's Adam Rides Again, and there's Sky Blue Pink, both in the contrast of how they ran in this race, but also the contrast from how Sky Blue Pink was ridden last time and how he was ridden to win in this race.
Yeah, much different approach this time by jockey Alan Garcia aboard Sky Blue Pink. And I think last time out he just kind of might have panicked a little bit and went a little bit too soon, not realizing what he had underneath him. Here he's much more settled, and Adam Rides Again, a horse that had won at a mile and 1/8 at Belmont on the turf, was turned back the last couple of times in sprint races by Todd Pletcher, and really hadn't performed all that well in his last start, but he certainly comes back to form here.
Yeah, this was a huge pace. He went 22-2 the first quarter here. Adam Rides Again. He's just off the pace. Sky Blue Pink is back here, and Alan Garcia gives this horse an exceptional ride. In a funny way, it's almost comparable to the ride that Mike Smith gave Zenyatta in the sense, and you'll see this when they come to turn. As other horses are making wide moves, including the fourth finisher, Mr. Hooker, Garcia does the right thing. He doesn't panic, he doesn't make the premature move, and he stays inside. Now, he has to angle him around a wall of horses in the stretch, but he doesn't lose ground on the turn when it really matters, and he doesn't make the premature move. He did everything right to win this race, and the horse still only won by a half length against a horse in Adam Rides Again, who was so much closer to the pace, and there's Garcia waiting patiently with Sky Blue Pink.
Yeah, waiting patiently, and as we said before, kind of a catch-22 sometimes in these situations. You wait inside, sometimes room never unfolds, and you just sit back there with a ton of horse in your trap. But he does the right thing here, not trying to push up into that pack in front of him, just waiting, letting that pack clear off so he can just angle out smoothly and then make that big run.
Yeah, no question about it. This was a terrific ride, and the horse ran well, but was one because of Garcia's ride. Adam Rides Again. Boy, John Velasquez, he rode this horse very well, but you think that he holds off City Train, who had a very good trip behind him, and he was right in the teeth pretty much of that pace. I thought Adam Rides Again really ran well. We hope we see these horses. At least, I don't think we'll see Sky Blue Pink here. Maybe we see him.
Adam Rides Again,
but Adam Rides, they could run this condition again. He's not going to be a big price. Just thought he ran very well.
He did, and another race that we'll bring you from the weekend on the grass. We'll take a look at Super Spectacular. This, of course, is Zenyatta's little brother, and Super Spectacular, and also the 4-center divider we want to show in this race.
Once again, there's nothing earth-shattering here. I think there's a sort of a trip and a trap in this race. Super Spectacular wins this race. John Velasquez, this was a big day for him. I guess he won 5 races. He goes to the lead here. You'll end up seeing the whole field coming, and he has to give it up. Center Divider gets a great ride from Ramon Dominguez sitting behind. He gets through in the stretch. He has the perfect trip of perfect trips. He looks like he just can't lose past the 8th pole. He finishes 3rd. Super Spectacular, he looked like he was dead empty on the turn, and he ends up re-rallying. Maybe the race sort of came apart a little at the end. I think Super Spectacular is a 3-year-old with a bit of a future.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Super Spectacular. I was kind of surprised he wanted to do this race when we talked about it. I kind of thought, from the first time that I watched it, he was just kind of there, and the race kind of folded up. Everyone kind of came together at the finish. But you can't ignore his pedigree, and you got to think that perhaps later on throughout his career, into his 4-year-old year next year, and maybe even 5-year-old, that he's just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, I don't know who and I know you're not saying this, but I don't know who the 3-year-old turf killer is he should be afraid of, and it's a little too late for him to be going out and running the Hollywood Derby out in California. But I imagine he'll be heading with Seth Benzel down to Gulfstream Park, and I know he's going to have to get better. He's still a little bit on the slow side relative to stakes horses. I like the fact though that Johnny went the lead, that didn't work out. Johnny took him out in the middle of the track to keep him out of trouble. He looks like he's not running. The race came apart. Don't forget, this horse back here ends up getting beat ahead in this race, so the race did sort of fall apart. He's not in exactly a good position tactically, yet he still guts out the win, and I like that about him. He showed some tenacity.
He did show tenacity. Right here, I thought he'd been in a drive for, close to maybe even a quarter mile by this point, and really hadn't gained anything. And, looks like he's kind of flattening out here, and, as I said, I think the race kind of came together a little bit at the end here. We'll show it again, and there's center divider in between horses. We're just going to get a great seam to run through right there beneath Dominguez. But, all in all, promising effort, I think, from Super Spectacular. We'll see where he goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, he was dichotomous in his trip to the horses that finish in the photo with him, and he got it done. And I like that about him. He's now undefeated in the turf and 3 for 3. And it's funny about Zenyatta, and we talked about this when this horse broke his maiden in Saratoga. Zenyatta, obviously, by far the best horse from that family. It's a very good family, though. It includes Balance, and Balance is a good dirt horse. But all the other horses in the first and second family that were good turf horses. It's a very good turf pedigree. I think Super Spectacular is kind of a neat horse, and I think he's going to improve and run some good races next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Super Spectacular down into Gulfstream and back up here next year as well. I'd imagine he's probably done for at least the New York turf racing season.
Yeah, I don't know what Seth's thinking, but he does go down to Florida. And look, I don't think he's getting a non-winners of 3. He'll be looking for a stake for him.
Tropical Park Derby or something like that. Maybe that's.
Yeah, but that. Oh, yeah. You know what? You might be right. That's a 3-year-old race they run. Like
they don't run it in the New Year.
Or is that a 2-year-old? No, that's a 2-year-old race this year. Barbaro won it. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh well. So much for that thought.
That's it for this episode of Trips and Traps. Once again, we love hearing your thoughts at Trips and Traps at NYRAinc.com. Thanks again for watching.